y'all, it's Chris with Rockin Farm. I'm out wandering the farm today trying to come up with something to film about. It's not that we're not busy. It's not that we don't have projects. I've just never really been one to film just for the sake of filming. So I want to show you kind of new content when and if I can. The updates are great and I get good response to the updates. We do have some update type stuff to do on the farm, but as I'm wandering around, I find something that I didn't talk to y'all about yet. And this works out pretty good for me too from a marital standpoint, because my wife is giving me a hard time about how all I ever talk about is my pigs. They're her pigs too, by the way. And I don't talk nearly enough about her chickens. So we're not necessarily talking about the chickens themselves today, but we are talking about a chicken project. Now what you see behind me here, this 5-gallon water cooler, this thing really saved our necks when we had multiple, well over 100-degree consecutive days in a row. How exactly does a water cooler go about saving your necks? Well, I mean, obviously you keep water in them, right? But what does that have to do with heat, and what does that have to do with chickens? Well, got to give the credit to my wife on that one too. She was the one incessantly scrolling around online one day and found a picture of someone that had done this to a water cooler. We looked and looked and looked. We found no data. We found no information. All we had was this one photo from someone that had no way to contact them. We couldn't find it in any groups. We asked about it. Nobody had ever seen one. Nobody had ever made one. So obviously we knew that somebody came up with a good idea, but there was no instructions on how to do it. So we just figured it out. Now here's the deal, y'all. I'm not going to be able to give you a detailed parts list, and that's because we discovered every cooler is different. These Coleman style 5-gallon drinking water coolers, we just happen to have 2 of them kind of sitting around in our laundry room. When we had a much bigger family and had a lot more parties, it seemed like we always needed water coolers. So we had a 10-gallon water cooler, a couple of those really pretty glass jar ones, and then we had these 2 5-gallons. And it seems like whenever we do anything kind of a get-together type thing now, we pull either the pretty glass ones or the 10-gallon one out, and these 5-gallon ones have been sitting in the laundry room for years. So we decided to put them to use. Now the next thing we did is we jumped onto Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace and just tried to see if anybody had any available. And we found one individual that said that they would give us one for free, but then that fell through. But then when my friends were here visiting, they found a guy who said, yeah, I'll sell you one for 10 bucks. And my buddy picked it up for me. That one is the Igloo style, the actual Igloo 5-gallon water cooler. Now for these Coleman water coolers, the spigot is actually a 2-piece spigot. So there's the piece here that I'm pointing at is basically the bulkhead. So the nut screws in through the inside to this piece, and then the spigot would screw into that bulkhead. In the Coleman style coolers, the spigot is the bulkhead. You place the spigot in a hole that has no threading and screw the nut on directly onto the back of the spigot, and then that creates the watertight seal, that creates the bulkhead. So when you take the spigot out of a Igloo style cooler, there is just a round hole, nothing there. On these Coleman style coolers, when you unscrew the spigot, the bulkhead is already there. You just need to figure out what you're going to screw back into it. The instructions I'm going to give you for the Igloo style cooler would also work on the Coleman style cooler, but they're not necessary, and you save a few pennies, dollars really, on these Coleman style coolers. So this I can give you for a parts list. You're going to need a 1/2-inch T, some 1/2-inch pipe. I went with this water cup and I've been super happy with it. Basically what happens is that as it fills with water, it gets heavier and that closes the valve. As the chickens drink, it gets lighter, and when it lifts up, that opens the valve and it fills until it gets heavy and shuts itself off again. There's a lot less moving parts in these than there is in the smaller cups. There's another piece of 1/2-inch pipe here and then a 1/2-inch cap. So this is all just slip jointing. You could probably just slip it together and call it good because there's not a whole lot of water pressure in here. But because chickens are chickens and you can see how filthy these things are, I glued them together. So 1/2-inch T, 1/2-inch pipe, cup. And the cup does not come with these. So this is a special part you order on Amazon, and it's the 1/2-inch T that you screw the cup into. half-inch pipe, half-inch cap. Now, as far as what goes in here, it's just a little 1-inch piece of threaded on both sides, half-inch PVC that, you know, it's called a nipple. So it's about a 1-inch nipple. And because the threading is different on the 1-inch nipple than it is on the spigot slot for the cooler, I just applied plumber's tape liberally. And when I screwed it in there, the threads matched up close enough that the gaps were filled. We've had no problems with it leaking. So the T is slip on the 2 ends and half-inch threaded on the one end. So you're going to thread that T onto that nipple, thread the nipple and the T into the cooler, glue it all up, let it set, let it dry, and you have water that will stay cool all day long. Now, if it was a really, really hot day and we knew we weren't going to be home to check on the animals during the hot period, which I hate doing, but we had a couple of days, I could throw a few handfuls of ice in here and that water stayed very cool all day long with no need to top it off. The one downside we discovered is that at night, here in Central Texas, it might be 106, 108 during the day. At night, we're going to cool off into the 70s. But 70 isn't cool enough for an insulated cooler to cool itself again. So what we had to start doing is when we come out here at night to put the chickens to bed, we take the lids off, the water in the cooler cools overnight, we put the lid back on in the morning, and then it stays cool all day long. Otherwise, what happens is you get to where the water coming out of the tap is hot and the water in the cooler is hot, and you just can't really get any cool water to the chickens without adding ice. But if you take the lid off at night, fill it with water, let it sit all night long, screw the lid on in the morning, cool water all day long. Now with the Coleman ones, and it's over on the other side of the farm, I have to go through 3 gates to get to it, so I'm not going to show it to you. Or I'm sorry, with the Igloo ones rather. This was the Coleman one. With the Igloo ones, because there's just a hole there, you actually have to buy a half-inch bulkhead. So you buy the half-inch bulkhead, you place that through the hole, tighten it down on the back, and now your half-inch nipple has the exact same thread as the bulkhead. That's the nice part. And you screw it all together and put it together the same way. The big thing is bulkheads are not cheap. They're cheap, but they're not cheap. PVC parts are generally speaking cents, 15 to 36 cents a piece. Your bulkhead, you're paying $7 or $8. So you can do the same thing on this one. If you take the entire spigot assembly out, you can put a half-inch bulkhead in there too. But with a little extra tape, I sealed up any water leaks and I didn't have to spend the $7 or $8. I like the Coleman style coolers. The Igloo ones are much easier to get and they're found a lot more commonly. They're about $30 if you have to buy them brand new, and we might end up having to buy a few brand news because before next summer, I'm gonna have one of these in every single solitary one of my chicken yards. Right now I've got, let me see, 1, 2, 6, 7. I've got 7 places that I keep chickens. I've got 3 coolers. So the rest of the coolers, we were out here 3, 4, 5 times a day dumping water on the ground and putting fresh cooler water in the buckets. That's gonna go away next year because we're going to nothing but these coolers, even if I have to buy new ones. So as I fill it back up here for them, again, I can't give you a super detailed parts list, but you don't need one. I gave you the idea, I gave you the basic instructions. Now you can go out and build it with whatever parts you find available to you. If you end up going all 3/4 PVC, that's whatever, I mean, like I said, I gave you the idea, I gave you the basic instructions. Just go get the parts you need and work it out. It's like playing with Lincoln logs or Legos. So you get it all figured out and get it all put together. If I can remember, down in the description, I will drop the Amazon link to the cups, the Amazon link to the red tees that are half-inch slip on 2 sides and 1/4-inch threaded on the front. And I will drop the link to the bulkhead that I purchase if I purchase it through Amazon and not through a big box store. So those are the only 3 parts. Everything else you get wherever. Half-inch PVC, half-inch tees, half-inch caps, wherever you can find them, the glue, primer, etc. So again, you got the idea, you got the basic instructions on how to put it together. I know we're on a cooling down trend here, but it is still hot, and next summer we'll be here before you know it. So think about coming up with some of these chicken water coolers to keep your birds cool in the heat. This has been Chris with Rockin Farm. Till I see y'all again, please be happy and live healthy.